We have talked a lot about how good the safety group is in the 2026 NFL Draft, and today we're going to highlight another one. Arizona safety Genesissmith recently declared for the 2026 NFL Draft, and I am really excited about his potential upside at the next level, and he's one of my favorite players in this draft class. Today, we are going to break down his game, talk about what I like, talk about areas where I think he can improve, and ultimately, where I think he should be taken in the 2026 NFL Draft. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It helps me out a ton and helps get this video out to more NFL Draft fans like yourselves. Comment down below which players you guys want to see me talk about in a future prospect spotlight just like this, and without further ado, let's get into it. Genesissmith was a 3-star recruit in the 2023 recruiting class. He was committed to Arizona the full way, and over the last few seasons has been very productive for the Wildcats. In 2024, Smith finished the year with 48 tackles, 14 run stops, 2 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions, and 4 pass breakups on the season. But he followed it up with an even better season in 2025, where I thought Smith was outstanding. He finished the season with 58 tackles, 25 run stops, 3 forced fumbles, an interception, and 6 pass breakups on the season, and has been a steady riser on NFL draft boards throughout the season. I think the first thing that really sticks out when watching Genesissmith on tape is the overall size and athleticism that he brings to the table. Smith is listed at 6'2", 204 pounds, and I think he has really good size and length to be a starting safety at the NFL level. But it's the athleticism and, more importantly, the speed that I am most excited about. He has absolute burners, and of the safeties in this draft class, I think Smith is probably going to end up being the best tester because I think he has unbelievable top-end speed. He's incredibly fluid. I think his change of direction is fantastic, and the way that he explodes and can turn and run upfield, I think is fantastic. He did a lot of work in single high this past season for Arizona, and I think he has the speed to be a standard free safety, a roaming back-end defender, because I think the athletic traits are fantastic with Smith. But it isn't just athleticism that Smith brings to the table. Usually with safeties, it feels like you're either getting one that's really smart or one that's really fast, but I think Smith blends the two really well because I do think he is a very smart defensive back. He's incredibly disciplined in coverage. I think he reads the quarterback's eyes exceptionally well. He doesn't bite too hard on play action. He stays grounded, stays disciplined, and is able to cut off crossing routes, vertical shots. And for a safety and a young safety, I think his route IQ is exceptional. I also think he has shown the range and athleticism to stick with tight ends or running backs in one-on-one coverage if there is a mix-up, and I thought he was a very valuable coverage defender for Arizona, whether it was in man, whether it was in zone. I think the athleticism and the IQ make him a really smart defender that I would want to have on my team in the NFL. I also really like the effort that Genesissmith plays with. There are a lot of players that you can tell they're not giving it 110% on every snap. They might not be as aggressive against the run as you'd like to see, but it feels like every snap, Smith is working his way downhill. He's trying to be involved in the action in some way, and even if he doesn't have the right angle, I value players that look like they are trying and they want to be involved in the play. I think Smith has really good motor for the position. While I like a lot of what Genesissmith can do as a coverage safety, I do have a lot of question marks about what he brings to the table as a run defender. For one thing, I don't think he takes the best or most consistent angles against the run. I would like to see that get better and him take the path of least resistance more often, because I didn't think he had the ability to consistently get off of blocks. I didn't think he had the, always takes the best angles. And yeah, I don't think either of those are the biggest worry that I have about him as a run defender, because I think Genesissmith is a very poor tackler right now. He's very inconsistent at this point in his career, and throughout his career has a over 20% missed tackle rate, which was still up around that number in 2025. That number is just too high to my liking, and because of it, I think that could limit him to be more of your roaming free safety on the back end in a role that doesn't ask him to do much around the line of scrimmage, because he does miss way too many tackles at this point in his career. The other area that I worried about and showed up a few times on tape is I do feel like Smith can get heavy on his feet at times. I don't really know what the rhyme or reason is as to why this is, but there were numerous times on tape where I felt he got caught flat-footed, and he ended up losing a rep because of it, both in coverage and in run defense. I noticed inconsistencies in his footwork. I would like to see that improvement at the next level, and I do think it's something that can get coached, but it was something that I noticed more than one time when watching Smith on tape. Genesissmith is one of my favorite players in the draft class. He's still a pretty young player, as he's an underclassman that declared, with elite athletic traits, very smart in coverage, and high effort on every single down. I do think the tackling could come along for him in time, but I have Genesissmith as my number 5 safety in the draft class, and I have a top 50 grade on my big board. I think he brings things that you can't teach, and that's very valuable. He's got traits, he's got good IQ, and I think that's going to get him a long way on draft night. In terms of a scheme fit, we have talked about it, but I think Genesissmith is going to be at his best as a roaming free safety at the next level. And I think it's the best situation for him. If he is in a role where he is the last line of defense, where he can cut off vertical routes, which he's so good at doing already, and a role that doesn't ask him to do very much around the line of scrimmage, I think he could be a very impactful player in this role and could immediately help an NFL team as a roaming free safety, forcing turnovers on the back end. And I think that's a role where he could really thrive in. My player comparison for Genesissmith is Los Angeles Rams safety Cameron Kitchens. Kitchens was one of my favorite players a couple of years ago in his draft class, and he has had an impact for the Rams secondary. He's incredibly explosive and athletic, despite the poor testing numbers, which I think really caused him to fall in the draft. But this is a player that I think has good ball skills on the back end. He does a lot of the stuff at eliminating big plays, cutting off vertical routes and crossers, and just having good route IQ. And similarly to Smith, Kitchens isn't great against the run and does struggle to tackle at times. But I think from a trait, size, and skill set standpoint, I see a lot of similarities in both of their games. Genesissmith has great range. He's fluid, he's fast, he's smart. I think he has so many things that the NFL is looking for in a starting safety. I think he's going to be one of the big winners of the 2026 NFL Draft Combine, and ultimately, I believe that Genesissmith will be a top 100 pick in the 2026 NFL Draft.